things to make that happen. We can't just keep saying we're going to make them happen. And so I want to address an email that I sent to the full board where recently there was an article in the New York Times that addressed the practices that really is approached under what we deem SEL. Social emotional learning, which kind of like DEI, when we ask what's the tangible benefit or what do we do with it, nobody can tell us. It's just, hey, it feels good. And the idea behind it was specifically, there's now studies showing the idea, and especially coming out of the pandemic, that we are actually increasing mental health issues. We are making them worse. And again, these are studies, and this is in the New York Times. It's not some far right-wing conspiracy. You're right, that cites a study, an actual study in it. You're right, one study. Okay, but again, as we've seen,
Trustee Weaver to
so
speak.
this is the point, and exactly what you're seeing. So when you provide sources and data, it just becomes a way to diffuse the conversation because it might actually be true, and that challenges people's ideology or what they believe. And so we can't have those conversations. But there's been studies and research out there since 2015, 2018. Coddling the American Mind is a great source to start with, where they talk about the idea of certain things are weakening the mental strength of our students. But again, we can't have these conversations. So instead of doing that and understanding, and I simply ask questions like, we're starting to make smart metrics. So I ask for data so we can come up with real smart metrics that we can start shifting to make sure we are supporting our teachers. We are having tangible benefits. We're not going from a learning process. Well, literacy is a great example. What everyone is starting to see around literacy, because we're starting to pay attention, and many of us parents that really defaulted to truth and did trust our teachers and still trust our teachers, and when we found out that we weren't really doing it the right way, and one of the biggest takeaways from Sold the Story, and that's where I learned from it, was that many teachers didn't know because they were told from colleges, they were told from boards, they were told from superintendents, from respected entities that this is just the way to do it. And so that was one of the big takeaways. So instead of, again, being able to look back and say, what did the data say? What does the science say? And here we sit. So again, and you just heard it with our board, you send them a source, one that they should actually support based on where they fall politically, and they still just want to dismiss it, to say we can't talk about it. We're talking about our students' mental health. And instead of being open to seeing it and saying, oh, there has been this stuff around since 2015, 2018, maybe we should consider it and have that open dialogue, it just gets dismissed. And it comes back to exactly what we talked about during the pandemic. The federal lawsuit all stemmed around parents advocating for their students' mental health and the concerns they had with their mental health that, again, have been verified. Closing the schools was wrong. It did more harm. It hurt our students. And yet, a parent got their employer called. And here we are, exactly what appointee Blake wants to point out, is the district just shifted from having employees do it to paying Bassett and Bassett do it and funneling the money through Collins and Blaha. Like, why? And instead, no one threw out accusations. We've simply asked questions. Tell us what it was. Don't have us assume. But when people will not answer basic questions that they should be able to answer, they cause a suspicion. So everyone's got to start being responsible for their actions. We are, as elected officials, supposed to ask hard questions about the financials because we're supposed to provide oversight. Yes, the ORC audit shows this board has failed to do that. And so it's new that that's happening, and it's making people uncomfortable. But as everyone says, these critical conversations, these hard conversations, to do the work to support our teachers and our students and make sure we rebuild trust with the community, everyone's going to be uncomfortable a little bit. So, again, if people can't answer basic questions, that's a problem with who can't answer the question, not who's asking the question.